Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and Deen Feed family. Welcome to our first podcast and recording The Right Lane. Inshallah, we're going to be discussing about those things that we may feel that it broke our fast or made our fasting invalid. But firstly, just, those general notes that we have, what breaks the fast. Sheikh Junaid Ahmed can give us just a quick insight on that.
Yeah. So we all know the things that break our fast: eating, intimate relationship with our spouses, things like that. But I think if we have a different approach, a scientific approach, if you want to say, that will clarify things a little bit more when it comes to like swallowing or eating things. Yeah. So we look at 5 things when it comes to eating or drinking or things going into inside our body. The first thing, the presence of the substance, like we were talking about the first time we got cut off. The presence of the substance, meaning it has to have a discernible body. So basically you can differentiate it from something else. So something like smoke, vape, or hookah, or anything else, of course, as long as it had a discernible body.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic for itself.
Yeah, definitely, because people always been asking this question, hookah and shisha.
So we got a whole bunch of stuff coming, inshallah.
So stay tuned. What other general points?
So that's as far as the presence of the substance. Yeah. And then the location it has to reach in order for it to invade our fast. So there's 3 places, 3 locations: the throat, the stomach, the intestines. Yeah. So these are the locations it must reach. No. And then as for the entry points, there's 10 entry points, 4 of them that will invalidate and the rest won't invalidate. So the 10 entry points are, of course, the mouth, the nose, the ears, the eyes, that's 4. And then the 2 genitals of the 2 females, the defecation tract, that's your 7. And then a head injury, a abdominal injury, and the last one was pores, like pores of the skin. These are the 10 entry points. The only 4 that will invalidate our fast is the mouth, the nose, the defecation tract, and the abdominal injury.
Basically anything that leads to your location.
Right, exactly. Directly or indirectly.
This all falls under pretty much eating.
Yeah, of course. And also it includes, it's like an umbrella thing. It includes like surgery. If you open up your, stomach and, they do whatever procedure there, that opened up the stomach. Yeah. And even if a tool goes there, it doesn't have to be a food. It has a discernible body, so that would break it.
Other things which breaks the fast.
So based on these principles, things, if you use eye drops, that won't break our fast because that's not a valid entry point, the eyes. Okay. That's considered a pore. Similarly with the ears. Back in the days, they thought that the ear had a connection to the digestive tract, but it doesn't unless there's a hole in the eardrum. So eyes are safe, ears are safe. The ears are considered a pore of the body. So even if you may taste or smell something, the drop you put in your eyes, it doesn't invalidate it because they consider just the remnants of whatever you put in it doesn't go in your food or stomach or whatever. What else? The genitals, anything that, whatever, doesn't break. The only thing that would break is the defecation tract, the behind.
But just one thing to add, though, is when the object goes inside, right, the entry point, one of the conditions, I believe, is it has to remain there by itself, right?
The independent stay.
Yeah, they call it istiqrar, I think, right?
Yeah.
So if they do, any procedure where they insert something, whether through the bottom or from the mouth, right, and it doesn't stay there independently, they're connected to it outside, right?
Yeah.
There's different procedures right? As long as it's being controlled from outside, it won't break the fast unless it's attached to or unless it comes with something damp on it, right? Like you have some material like lube or whatever that they use.
Yeah.
That thing will break the fast, but not the pipe itself. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So endoscopy or before they do anesthesia, they put this tool that looks like that, like the Reaper. They call it laryngoscope or something. So they put it in your mouth, right? But they're controlling from outside. It doesn't have independent state, meaning somebody's controlling. It's not there by itself. Okay. So as long as somebody's holding from outside, it's not going to break it. But if they put spray on your throat before they put that thing in, that's going to break it. Or like Sheikh said, if it's damp, the tip of it or something like that.
I know there's a lot of hypothetical situations and conditions, things that sometimes we don't have control of. Like, for example, this is very hypothetical and we don't have these type of things happening. For example, if someone forces you to eat, does that break your fast?
So that's the 5th one, right? Excuses. Which one is a legitimate excuse? Okay. The only one that's a legitimate excuse is when you forget that you're fasting and you eat something.
Yeah.
But if it's like somebody forced you or it was an accident even.
So
like
I think this is an issue a lot of people get confused about. Forgetful versus accident, right? And people conflate the two. Forgetfulness is like you totally forgot you're fasting. You know, it's the first day of Ramadan, you know, we get hungry and eat breakfast by accident, right?
Yeah.
Or accident is like, you know, you're doing wudu or something and you swallow the water. Now, you didn't forget your fasting, but the accident went down. That actually breaks your fast.
So the only one, like you said, is if you forget. That's the only one that's legitimate. But if you're sleeping and you do something that would break your fast, like somebody fed you, or if they forced you to put a gun in your head.
Maybe your mom loves you too much.
Yeah, feels bad for you, you know. So that's one thing to point out.
But I mean, I think it's important to clarify that even though those might break your fast, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're sinful per se, right? If you're being forced and stuff, right?
Yeah. The other thing is, let's say you accidentally or something happens, you broke your fast and you broke it, right? For the rest of the day, at least in the Hanafi fiqh, you're not supposed to eat ihtiraman for the respect of that day. Yeah.
Is there any other point of view other than the Hanafi?
So as for the Hanbalis, the Mashayikh, the scholars from there, for the injection, they do have a separate opinion. Some say that if it gives you nutritional value, then we'll break it, like Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen. And I think most of the Hanabila, they say the same thing. But Ibn Baz, Sheikh Rahimahullah, he said it doesn't matter. Whether it's nutritional, intravenous, intermuscular, doesn't matter. It's not going to break it.
So this is actually one of the questions that I received. Someone was asking in regards to the injection. So I would love for you to summarize that again in a very easy way so that the point is made. Generally, taking injections or receiving injections, it's okay and it does not break the fast. But it's better to get the injection at nighttime. But does it have to do with intramuscular or intravenous, if you get it through the veins, or is it, you know, if you get it through the muscles?
So if you're talking from the Hanafi fiqh point of view, it doesn't matter how or when.
It doesn't matter. Intramuscular,
it's not going to break it.
And intravenous,
whether it's nutritional or not, it doesn't matter, right? But when we talk about the Hanabilas, they do have a point where if it's nutritional, like Ibn Baz rahimahullah, he says that vaccine injections are okay, but just to be on the safe side, do it at nighttime.
Okay.
So he says okay, but just to be safe, do it at night or something else. Ibn Uthaymeen and all the other mashayikh, they say if it gives you strength, nutritional value, you're sick, and this thing makes you better, like the
steroids.
Stuff, right? Of course.
So I think they're looking more at the point of fasting, right? The point of fasting is you don't get that nutritional.
Right.
But just don't want the brother and sister thinking that steroid is halal. Steroids is what?
I don't.
Is it permissible or not? Well, we didn't do the research for that.
We get into that.
We're not giving fatwa here.
So what other touchy points that people are confused
about? So
about?
that was one of the things, Jazakallah for clarifying that. Let's move on to Sheikh Aqib Chaudhry. And now this is one of those things in which a lot of the youth actually face. First of all, since these things go side by side, it's sometimes like a reaction, or you can call it like a chain reaction. Watching pornography or anything inappropriate in the month of Ramadan. I mean, one thing you have is watching TV or movies, right? That's one thing. But then there are those things which are inappropriate, like pornography. Watching pornography, generally, it's haram, even outside of the month of Ramadan. But of course, we're just talking about hypotheticals,
right?
Technical.
So that's,
just in case, just happens. If an individual or people watch pornography, and is it haram or not? Of course, it is haram, but does it break the fast? And also, side by side, as a reaction to all of this, a person may get the feels, right? That's the youth especially, and that would lead to masturbation. Would masturbation, which is haram, by the way, it is haram, would masturbation break the fast or not?
Yeah, so firstly, I think it's a good point that you made, just to clarify. We're not endorsing it or anything, obviously not, right? We're just talking about the legal aspect, right? Because the reality is, unfortunately, a lot of people are, suffering from
which is a hypothetical
addiction.
Scenario.
Yeah, so we're just talking about the hypothetical situation. Some people may get confused. They might think that, what breaks a fast is eating, drinking, and actual physical intimacy, right? And if I'm watching pornography and, there's no physical intimacy, it's just me and myself.
Yeah,
right? There's no
digital love.
There's no other party involved, right? But the reality is, this does break the fast, as the scholars mentioned. It breaks the fast. But
so exactly at what point does it break it? So what I mean is like watching it, or the ejaculation part, or the act of masturbation.
Yeah. So not the act itself, or the watching itself, which is still haram, obviously, but the actual ejaculation, right?
Right.
That's at that point. That's when the fast breaks. The only difference between that and actual physical intimacy is if a person purposefully, is involved in physical intimacy, they have to do something what we call kafara, right? Expiation. For this, a person won't have to do expiation because it's not like the full
it's
intimacy,
not reality,
right? Yeah, it's
It's
digital.
not the real deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So if the person is watching, of course, the individual is going to be sinful. So the ejaculation part, right? There's different levels of ejaculation, right? There's the
semen, the pre-cum.
The pre-cum or the pre-semen which comes out. Does that count as breaking the fast, or it has to be?
We continue, inshallah.
We'll continue. This is Salah time, right? So now we were praying the Asr Salah right now. Man, it's freezing. It's freezing. It's April. It's supposed to be the spring weather in New York City.
Last week was like 80 degrees.
It was 80 degrees. Last
Funny
June
part is,
was actually.
you can hear the ice cream truck. You can hear the ice cream truck.
New York
This
City
guy
is
is
right?
selling ice cream in the cold. It's like below 30 degrees.
You got those people.
So as we were talking about before, watching pornography, it is not permissible. It's haram outside of Ramadan and within the month of Ramadan as well, of course. And particularly, I believe a person will be more sinful for doing it in the month of Ramadan.
Perhaps, yeah.
Right? And that leads to the question. Now, this individual, this person is watching pornography. And that leads to, if it leads to ejaculation, then it will break his fast.
Yep.
Now, the question is, what about pre-semen or pre-seminal fluid?
So, as far as I know, that doesn't break the fast because it's not the actual ejaculation.
Yeah, because pre-semen does not make ghusl, meaning taking a shower, fard. So this should not break the fast.
Yeah.
Does it really matter about, like, let's say a person is watching pornography, right? The question sometimes comes, what if it was unintentional? I mean, no one watches something unintentionally, but sometimes, again, it's just hypothetical, right? Not just watching pornography, but for the ejaculation part. Does it have to do with intention or unintentional?
No, over there, intention doesn't matter. Over there, it will be an accident, right? You say accidentally you ejaculated. It will break the fast. The only thing, again, is you forget you were fasting and you had intercourse with your wife.
Actually, I mean, if I could interject a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it depends what you're talking about right now, though. If you're talking about watching without actually doing the act of masturbation, right?
Yeah.
If a person's watching pornography without actually masturbating and somehow you ejaculate, that actually does not break the fast.
So if you're watching about the watching part, of course, not a break it.
But
can you repeat that again?
I'm saying if someone's watching without actually doing the act of masturbation, right?
Well, even with the act of masturbation, as long as it doesn't ejaculate.
Okay, so if
let's just rephrase everything.
I think we got a lot of.
Let's just go rewind back again.
You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. So if a person is watching pornography and he masturbates and he does not ejaculate, that does not break the fast.
Right. Yes, that does not break the fast.
Now, if a person's watching pornography and he doesn't masturbate at all, but he just naturally ejaculates, I guess, that does not break the fast. That in itself won't break the fast. Right? Because the action of masturbation has to be there.
You know what it is? You can leave the watching pornography away. Right? We're just talking about ejaculation.
Right.
Yeah,
let's say
you're saying that if a person ejaculates intentionally or unintentionally, on purpose or no purpose, not on purpose.
But deliberately, that might have been whether he did it purposely or not. If it's not done purposely, like if it's in his sleep, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't break the fast,
of
course,
right?
But I'm saying, but even in intentionally, if a person's watching, but he doesn't, like physically, like let's just hypothetically say a person's watching something, and he happens to ejaculate without touching his body organs at all. Yeah. That doesn't break.
That will not break the fast because he never ejaculated.
He did.
Oh, okay.
But he never did the action of masturbation.
Okay.
So that doesn't break the fast.
So that does not break the fast.
No, I believe the fuqaha actually mentioned that, like,
Okay.
whatever. If they
Okay. Yeah, if they mention that specifically, then it has to be a case.
Or maybe we could double check in.
Double check. Too many hypotheticals.
Next episode.
Next episode.
As far as I know, it doesn't.
So, just to make it easy for the people, I know I'm making you guys repeating, very repetitive right now.
That's all.
Watching pornography, again, it's haram outside of Ramadan. In Ramadan, we do believe that a person may be more sinful watching it in the month of Ramadan.
Or rather, we can safely say this, that like the Prophet ﷺ said, "Kam min sa'imin laysa lahu min siyamihi illa al-ju' wal-'atash." How many people fast? The only thing they get from fasting is hunger and thirst. So we can safely say he's not getting anything for that day. It's like you driving Uber the whole day and you get a ticket in the end.
Watching pornography does not break the fast.
Yeah.
If you ejaculate intentionally, it will break the fast. Right? While masturbating will break the fast. But if he's watching pornography or not watching pornography and he does not do the action of masturbating and he ejaculates, then that does not break the fast. Correct?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Okay, so now let's forget the haram
Yeah,
stuff.
let's
the halal
talk
stuff.
about, right.
So between husband and wife, when does it actually break the fast?
Just as you mentioned, the husband and wife, halal. If they have intercourse while fasting, go ahead.
Yeah, so for the husband and wife, what's the limitation? When does it actually, like, this is the red line, you do this, it will break the fast. Of course, kissing and touching, stuff like that, it's not going to break the fast.
Yeah.
When you actually get into the act, at what point exactly would it break? So, and the Hanafi fiqh, I think, if you guys can recall as well, when you feel the warmth of the genitals, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be by ejaculation.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be.
Exactly. So.
Well, that's the Hanafi point of view.
Yeah.
They say as soon as the act of jima happens. Not
okay.
The,
so what about kissing and touching is okay?
Yeah,
but you said if you feel
the insertion takes place
yeah.
to such a point that you feel the warmth of the opposite gender's genitals. That's when it breaks.
Okay, got it. But what about the other madhahib, other views in this?
I'm not sure about the other ones, but they should be around that same area. It's either feeling the warmth of the genital
or just like as soon as
inserts.
Because there's a hadith, right? In the narrations, we do learn that the Prophet ﷺ, he would go kiss his wives, right, while fasting. Am I correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. And people tend to use that as a proof, like, oh, you know what, I can come kiss you and this, that, Well, what would you say to this?
I mean, the Prophet ﷺ, he's ma'soom and he's the Prophet ﷺ. We can safely say that for him, it wouldn't lead to a different act. But for us, we're weak.
Doesn't the Prophet ﷺ also mention that he has control? I think the hadith also mentions that, the very fact that he had control.
Like his qareen accepted Islam. Aslam qareenu. Everybody has a qareen, a shaitan, right? But he's accepted Islam. So he's safe from the waswasa, we can say that. But if we do, it's recommended that we don't do anything because it can lead to other things.
Yep.
Just like in the haram and stuff.
So, lastly, the last thing that we wanted to discuss also is in regards to those women folks, our sisters who are pregnant. Now, the question is, while she is pregnant, does she have to fast or not? Because some people are under the impression. I got a call this morning where a brother called me and he asked me that his wife is pregnant. And is it okay for her not to fast? And they are ready to, how the Quran says, as an expiation, where you can feed one person, right? You feed one person and you don't fast. Mm-hmm. So people are under the impression that you could just skip fasting because you are pregnant and just feed someone.
I think there's an ikhtilaf on the issue. Right?
Really? So my understanding is that according to the tafsir of Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala, he mentions under the Ayyam Ma'dudat, the Surah Al-Baqarah, I think verse number 184, he mentions under that verse, he brings up the very narration of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he told a person who was traveling, and he said that you don't have to fast while traveling. And he also gave an exemption to those women who were pregnant, so that they don't have to fast. But however, the conditions are basically, number one is that if the pregnant woman is able to fast and she's healthy, there's nothing wrong with it, then definitely she should fast. And if she cannot fast for whatever reason, the doctor said that it's better for her not to fast, or she has to take some vitamins and different types of nutritions for her or the baby, there's a health risk to it, then she does not have to fast. But she will have to make up the fast. So there's no such thing as expiation later on. And if you're an elderly person, and you're sick and you know that you cannot make up the fast, then that expiation about feeding someone, then that is for you. But as for the pregnant woman, no, she will have to make up the fast. Anything you want to add on top of that?
As for the feeding part, where the verse says that you can just feed someone, in the beginning, actually, you didn't even, whether you were sahih or marid or sick or healthy, you could just feed somebody and that would be it. You don't even but that verse is mansukh. So now it's only when you're sick.
Could you explain what mansukh is, just in case?
Abrogated verses.
So mansukh means abrogated.
For a certain period, this was the hukum, and it was uplifted. Like same thing with intoxication. For a certain period, it was okay, just to get people used to, not go cold turkey. So for a certain time, it was okay, but then it was abrogated. So similarly, in the beginning, whether you were sahih or healthy or not, it didn't matter. You could just feed somebody. But this verse is mansukh. So now it's only if you're sick. So with the pregnant woman, I think if it's harmful to her or her fetus, fasting, then you definitely have to break it. But the best thing to do is consult your physician. They will tell you when is it harmful or not. Right, and fasting is actually good sometimes. Even normally, fasting is good.
Because statistically, I was reading an article that even though the permission and the permissibility of not fasting is there for pregnant women, but statistically it was showing that on the very article that I was reading, approximately almost like 80% of our women folks still fast. Subhanallah. That makes them better than us. That's like two human beings fasting.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else you guys want to add?
Contemporary issues, people like vaping, those definitely would break. Smoking, those things would definitely break. Brushing teeth, that wouldn't break the fast. It's just gotta be careful with it. Yeah.
So I have a question then, because brushing your teeth, since it has a taste to it, right? You get that minty flavor. A lot of people have different flavors nowadays, bubble gum and strawberry and all of that stuff, tasting it, would that break the fast?
So that wouldn't, right? Because initially we talked about the place that it has to reach, the throat, the stomach, and the intestine. So the throat starts from wherever, where it is. I'm behind that thing that's hanging over the boxing bag. So similarly, women folk, they can taste the food and just wash their tongue away, which is fine.
But I heard that's makruh though. I was reading the fiqh books.
So the reason why they say it's makruh is because they say that opens the door. You're putting yourself in danger.
Okay. Unnecessarily.
Right. So if you're just like, I'm fasting, I feel like eating a burger. Let me just taste this and I'll wash it off. You can't do that, right? They even say for women folk, like, if they're able to not do it, right? If they could figure out how the food tastes, they'll be fine, right? But with toothbrushing, on the other hand,
so
it will be allowed as long as you're careful about it.
Exactly.
Some people say, put your head down, make sure, because if your head is down, there's the chance of you swallowing something.
Also, some unavoidable situations wouldn't break your fast. Like after you do wudu, the remaining drops or whatever, water, you do as many gargles or whatever, you spit out as much as possible, but you still feel like the saliva is cold. It's not your saliva, it's mixed with water. So those unavoidable situations wouldn't break the fast either. Similarly, your, anything, the mucus and stuff like that.
And of course, forgetfully to eat something or drink.
Yeah.
That does not break the fast.
Yeah,
so I can have like a full-on meal. Right?
If you actually forgot.
If you actually forgot. There you go. So inshallah, we're going to wrap up our first episode in our podcast for today. Jazakumullahu khairan for the brothers and sisters and Deen Feed family for tuning in. Inshallah, we will catch you on our next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.